So, if you had listened to my commentary on the Little Witch Academia OVA, you might have noticed a bit of a pattern where I point out similarities to Harry Potter. Those of you with very big brains might also remember that I don't particularly like Harry Potter. So, what gives? Am I a weeb, or am I just biased? Well, yes, but not in this regard. To my mind, there's a bit of nuance to be had here. By squinting and looking at these two pieces of media, a lot of the broad strokes are the same between them. And there's definitely no denying that Harry Potter came first and pioneered something, whether it actually constitutes a genre or not. But Little Witch Academia, although it treads the path Harry Potter blazed, does largely manage to avoid falling down the same pitfalls. In my youth, I read all of the Harry Potter books and watched quite a few of the films, and now, several years later, the things I remember the most about them are the missed opportunities, particularly in world building. We know precious little about the wizarding world, and what we do know is rather trite and obvious, or a shallow parody of real life. A lot of interesting information about the world is never even remotely addressed, and a lot of boring questions are raised and subsequently answered in the most boring way possible. By comparison, Little Witch Academia works by either showing rather than telling, or by not raising questions it doesn't want to answer. For example, why is there a labyrinth built underneath Luna Nova? Why is the labyrinth stocked with monsters like minotaurs? Why is a dragon that can eat magic, that was considered so dangerous that it had to be sealed away, kept under a place that has food for it in abundance? These questions are never asked, but if they were, I'm sure the answers would be inadequate. Whatever lore that could be scraped together to explain this would just be covering up the true reason of because it's convenient for the plot, or because we thought it would be cool. It's not like those are even bad reasons in and of themselves, but if that's your reason, you have to double down and own it, rather than try and scrounge up some unsatisfactory answer that no one really believes, much less likes. In contrast to Harry Potter, Little Witch Academia does have questions that are answered, and answered in an interesting way. Why was the shiny rod buried within the bowels of Luna Nova, almost as if it was hidden? The answer, seemingly, is that the previous wielder of the shiny rod, Shiny Chariot, is now teaching at the school as Professor Ursula and saw fit to hide the rod there. I like this development for two reasons. It's never explicitly stated that Ursula is Chariot, in that Ursula never boldly declares, "I was Shiny Chariot and I decided to retire," but it is explicit in the way that Ursula's hair changes color as she exerts herself magically, and she has a few lines of dialogue that shows she's familiar with the shiny rod. The second reason I like it is because it provides a veritable banquet of food for thought. Why did Shiny Chariot retire? Why, after retiring, did she become a teacher? Why did she give up the shiny rod and subsequently hide it? Did she feel she was no longer fit to wield it, or was she afraid it would attract malevolent attention, be it from various magical villains du jour, or from the disdainful powers that be at Luna Nova? Why does she continue to hide her identity, even when there are people who are demonstrably fans of her? Notably, Akko and, to a lesser degree, Diana. None of these questions are addressed, at least not in the original OVA, but the key takeaway is that an interesting question is answered in an interesting way, and in doing so, it raises other interesting questions. And really, I think that's the big difference in terms of world building between Harry Potter and Little Witch Academia. Harry Potter does not ask interesting questions, and what questions it does ask are poorly answered and lead to inconsistency and confusion. Little Witch Academia generally avoids that, and in doing so, cements it in my mind as more worthy of your time.